Yo, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here to present you my NBA morning shoot around for Wednesday, October 30th. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This way you can watch all my NBA, NFL, and MLB videos. If you haven't came and checked out our website here at dfscheatsheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily Fanduel and Draftkings cash lineups. Hey, we're truly a one-stop shop for our DFS needs. So make sure to come check out the site here at dfscheatsheet.com. So we got 11 game slate today. Looking like a pretty good slate. There's going to be a couple fun games. I think it's going to be a good one. I'm ready to jump into this video real quick before we do, though. If you guys don't mind, please take that quick second, click the like button down below. Helps me out. Really, really appreciate that from you guys. And yeah, man, let's go. So I'm gonna do these videos a little bit different. Instead of going game by game, I feel like it gets a little bit boring and they get a little bit longer. I don't want to just kind of blabber on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of just go position by position and I'm gonna try my best to get around 10 players at each position that I think are viable on tonight's slate to kind of help you build a player pool. I think that'll be a little bit more helpful for you guys. So we're gonna try that. Leave some feedback. Let me know which way you like it better. If me going completely game by game and kind of rambling on, or if I just kind of get to the point and pick, about 10 players each position that I feel are good for each slate. And you can, like I said, kind of build a player pool with that. So we'll start with point guard. We'll start with Russell Westbrook. I definitely think Russell Westbrook is in play today. I think that this is a solid spot for him going against a Washington team who's a little bit young. I think this will be a pretty up-tempo game. The one thing I've noticed, to start the season is Russell Westbrook and James Harden. It's kind of hard for both of them to have good games at the same time. Either one's going to have a good game or the other's going to have a good game. That's kind of the trend right now. But I definitely think that you can look at Russell Westbrook at a 10.6 price tag. He's a guy that you could definitely consider paying up for on this slate. Then I think that you can look at a guy like Damian Lillard at 9.9. We know what we get from Damian Lillard. I mean, he's the best player on Portland. He's going to give you a solid floor. In a game against OKC, I think that Portland's going to definitely win this game. And I like Lillard. He's a good play. You got Steph Curry going against Phoenix. Hey, Phoenix has actually been playing pretty good. They just beat the Clippers the other day. They've been staying in games. They've been competitive, and that's what I like. Steph Curry, coming off a game where he had a pretty good game. Played 31 minutes and got your 54 fantasy points. They're going to need, him to do everything. You see the 11 assists. That was more than double he had in the first two games. They're going to need he can't do everything himself. He's going to have to get people involved. And there's just so much load on Steph Curry's shoulders. At 9,600, I definitely think you can look at him. Ben Simmons going against Minnesota. Ben Simmons can get a triple-double any night. As long as he's under 10,000, I think you can consider him. I think he gives you a pretty solid floor. I do like him more like when Joel Embiid was out because everybody else kind of got a little bit more. But with Joel Embiid back, I think that Ben Simmons is strictly a GPP play, but he does have some upside. Next, we will work our way down a little bit. A couple guys that we can also look at. Malcolm Brogdon, he's starting the season on absolute fire for the Pacers. Not even scoring wise, he's just doing a little bit of everything. The guy's showing us that he has a little bit of triple double upside. Got you at least 43 fantasy points in 3 straight games to start the season. Then today he gets a matchup against the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie Irving in an up-tempo game. Brogdon definitely a guy that we can look at today. Next, we got De'Aaron Fox in a pretty good matchup going against Charlotte. De'Aaron Fox, he's had 2 good games and 2 bad games. So, I'm going to split it in the middle, and I think that today is the day that he can have a solid game going against the Hornets, a team that he's going to be going against Terry Rozier defense. I'm not really scared of that at all. And, De'Aaron Fox is in a good spot here. Then on the flip side, we talked about it. We can save 1,100 from De'Aaron Fox, and we can go with Terry Rozier. Start the season off. I played him the first game of the season. He just was shooting bad. And he kind of busted for me. I haven't went back to that well, but I definitely think that we could. He's a guy, he's going to play minutes. He's going to play 32 to 34 minutes. We know that Terry Rozier has upside. We've seen it in Boston. I like him. I like him in this spot. I think this is a solid spot for him at 7,000. Him and Fox are going against each other. I think that both of them are pretty good plays. Next, we will work our way down. I'm trying to get you guys some value. We're gonna get you some value. You got Ricky Rubio though. I like Ricky Rubio here going against the Warriors. A very up tempo game going against Steph Curry, who doesn't play very much defense. In the 3 games that Rubio has played, I mean, the guy's showing us he has some triple double upside. He's gotten close a couple times already, giving us a really solid floor at 6,500. Mike Conley on the flip side of things. This is too cheap for Mike Conley. And you guys are going to say, well, have you guys seen how he's played? Yes, I understand how Mike Conley has played. And that's why he hasn't been playing, starter minutes. But at the same time, Mike Conley's Mike Conley. They traded for this guy last year. They expect this guy to have a really good year and kind of give them a chance at a championship. They were saying that this guy was the missing piece that they needed. And 6,300 is just too cheap. I think that you can look at him as a GPP play. Next, we will we'll go down a little bit more, and we're kind of getting a little bit more towards the value. There is some value at the point guard spot today. A couple guys that we can look at. It's one thing I do want to mention is looking like Alfred Payton is out. So I'll get to that. There's going to be some value there. Same thing with Reggie Jackson. But Patrick Beverley, 5,100. I think Patrick Beverley's in a solid spot here. He's not going to get you the crazy numbers, but we need 25 for value, and he can definitely get you 25. He does a little bit of everything. The guy's a really good rebounding machine, play some defense, get you a couple of steals a game. I just think he gives you a solid floor if you're trying to pay up elsewhere. Next, we will go down a little bit. Now we're going to start getting a little bit more into our value tier. There's a couple guys that are really standing out to me in the value tier here. First guy I like, I think that you can look at a guy like Darius Garland. GPP play for me just because he's played almost 30 minutes in 2 of the 3 games. He just hasn't shown crazy upside. He's more a scorer. He's a scorer. He doesn't necessarily get the other stats, but I think that as he gets a little bit more comfortable, he'll start kind of getting a little bit more in there, being a little bit more aggressive. 4,400 though, I think that you can look at him as a GPP play against a young Bulls team who doesn't play very much defense. This game should be really, really high scoring. Then we're really going to start getting into the value guys. Man, there's a couple guys down here. First guy we will talk about is where is he at? Tim Frazier. He's a guy that got the start last game for Reggie Jackson being out. I mean, he didn't get the minutes I really wanted for being a starter. He only got 21 minutes, but at a bare minimum price tag, he got you 16.4 fantasy points in back-to-back games. He's a guy that can get hot. He's a pretty good scorer. He can get us 25 fantasy points, and that would be really good value at a 3,500 price tag. He's a value guy we can look at. Another value guy that we can look at down here is going to be Frank Nicotina. I think he's definitely going to be a really, really good value play today if he does get the start and nod. Alfred Payton is out. We know that Dennis Smith is out with personal issues. So if Nicotina is going to get the start and he's going to play 25 minutes at a bare minimum price tag, I think he's a guy that you can look at as well. Moving on to the shooting guard position, we talked about it, with Russell Westbrook. It's either Russell Westbrook or James Harden. I feel like that's going to be the trend. One of them is going to play good. The other one's going to be kind of like, but definitely in play. It's James Harden. Bradley Beal on the flip side of things going against James Harden's defense. I think that both of these guys could go back and forth and have pretty solid games. Got Devin Booker in a really, really up-tempo game against the Warriors. This is a really good spot for him. I really don't like paying $8,500 for Devin Booker, but in this spot against the Warriors, I really like it, and I definitely would pay $8,500. I think this is a really, really good spot. And on the flip side of things, you got D'Angelo Russell going against Devin Booker's defense. D'Angelo Russell coming off the best game as a Warrior so far, 24, 7, and 8, against the Pelicans in 33 minutes for 41 fantasy points. That's about what you need for value here. For me, if I had to pick between Devin Booker and D'Angelo Russell, I would go Booker. But I think that D'Angelo Russell will be like kind of the lower owned guy that you can look at between those two guys. Next, we will kind of go down a little bit to, I think, a guy that's really picked up the scoring low. This guy is strictly GPP for me just because I need to see more from him. But Shane Gilgeous-Alexander for OKC, he's really been picking it up. He's averaging 24 points a game. They're playing on big minutes right now. He's giving us a really, really good floor, doing a little bit of everything. He's another GPP play that we can really throw out there. Moving down a little bit, RJ Barrett. He's a guy that I think we can look at. We talked about all the injuries in the guard positions out there in New York. I think that he'll get a little bit more ball handling, a little bit more ball handling responsibilities at 7,200. I think that RJ Barrett's starting his career off really really good, and I like him, man. Then we will go to you could go with the Lou Williams, you can go with CJ McCollum. They're not really jumping out to me too much. Buddy Hield is a guy that I really like, though. I think that he's their best scorer on this team. 6,700. He's going to play 32 to 34 minutes in a game against Charlotte. I think this game is going to be pretty high scoring. Buddy Hield's a GPP play that we can really look at on this slate. Then we will go down a little bit. Let me see who else I like. Derrick Rose. As long as Reggie Jackson is going to be out, I think that we can continue to play Derrick Rose, and I think he will come in at a little bit lower ownership as well because he didn't have the game that he's been having the past couple, so people kind of want to shy away with recency bias. Josh Richardson at 6,000. He's a guy that's going to play, 30-plus minutes a game. He's their starting shooting guard, plus their backup point guard. 6,000 is a very fair price tag for him. I think he gives you a really, really good floor there. Jeremy Lamb going against Brooklyn. It's going to be an up-tempo game. Jeremy Lamb, he hasn't played in a couple games. I expect him to come back, play around 30 minutes. If Jeremy Lamb's going to play 30 minutes against the Brooklyn Nets, I really like him. He's a guy that I've played the past couple years, and whenever he got the opportunity, the guy just absolutely balled out. So Jeremy Lamb is a GPP play on today's slate. Jaylen Brown, a guy that's been, he started the season off pretty good. He's in that starting role. Just got paid by the Celtics. They're going to play the guy in 5,700. He definitely gives us upside. We've seen the upside he gives us against Toronto, 47 fantasy points. I'm not saying he's going to get 47 fantasy points, but at a 5,700 price tag, all we need is 28 for value, and he's giving us that upside. That's what I'm really, really liking about Jaylen Brown here. Last guy that I'll quickly just throw out there, I think that he's a GPP play definitely, but he's just a guy that we can look at on the cheap. It is, where is he at? Dwayne Bacon. I think Dwayne Bacon is a guy that we could consider. The minutes have been up and down. 2 games of 33 or more. 2 games of just barely 20 minutes. It's all about minutes with this guy. But at 4,800, he already scored 37 fantasy points earlier this year, so he's showing us that he does have some upside. I think that he's a guy that you can look at in GPPs at 4,800 as well. Next, we will move on to the small forward position. We'll start at the top. You got Giannis Antetokounmpo going against Boston. Definitely like him here. He's a solid play. Oh, one thing I want to mention, I completely forgot about this. Kawhi Leonard is out for rest today. So with Kawhi Leonard out for the rest, there's going to be some other guys that are going to be able to step up and get some opportunities. And one guy that I missed that I think that should get a little bit more consideration in the shooting guard spot. If Leonard's going to be out, I'm going to Lou Will, man. I think Lou Will's going to have to score some extra points. He's already scoring, 23 points a game. So I don't know, how much more he can really score. Obviously, he has 40-point upside, but I think he'll get extra minutes today. He'll have the ball in his hand more without Kawhi Leonard. They'll depend on him more. So he definitely gets a boost with Kawhi Leonard being out today with rest. So Antetokounmpo is a guy, like I said, I'll start with at the top. Pascal Siakam, 8,600. The guy just fills up the stat sheet. He's going to play a ton of minutes outside of the Chicago game where he got in foul trouble. The guy's going to play, around 35 minutes. Going against a Detroit team who's middle of the pack, defensive wise. I think that Siakam can have a really good game today. Next, we'll go down. Tobias Harris, obviously he's in play, but I don't really like him too much with Embiid back. Kelly Oubre, he's a guy that I really like. Up-tempo game going against the Warriors. He's playing big minutes. He's got you at least 35 fantasy points in every game so far this season. Kelly Oubre is a guy that I really, really like on today's slate. He definitely is standing out for me. Next, I like Gallinari as well. I think Gallinari is a guy you could throw in there. 6,800. The price has dropped a little bit. But he's still giving us, outside of one game, he's got us 28 fantasy points still. And he does have a little bit of upside. They need this guy to score. He's a GPP play, but he definitely is in play. Gordon Hayward, 6,600. I think that Gordon Hayward is in a solid spot here. Coming off of kind of a dud game against New York, I think he's going to be really low owned. People aren't going to look at him, and he's going to play. He's going to play 33 to 35 minutes, and it's going to be a game very competitive, going against the Bucks. I think Gordon Hayward is in a pretty good spot here. I think that you got to give him a little bit of consideration. Then we will go down a little bit. Jonathan Isaac for Orlando going against New York. I really like these Orlando guys going against New York today. Isaac coming off the best game of the season, where he scored, 46 fantasy points. I'm not trying to chase that, but at this price tag, all we need is 32. I definitely think he can get you close to that going against a young, banged up Knicks team. Then we will go down a little bit more to, I think that Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges is a guy that is in play for Charlotte. They're playing this young guy. They like him. Going against Sacramento, I think this game is going to be pretty competitive. He's got 30-plus minutes in 3 of the 4 games. He can score the ball too, man. Miles Bridges, GPP play, but he is in play at 5,700. Otto Porter is a guy that's really interesting to me. He is listed as probable. He's been on a minutes limit, so that's something we got to continue to monitor. But last game, he had a horrible game. Don't get me wrong. He only scored 10 fantasy points, but the fact that he played 31 minutes, that's what is really jumping out to me. If he's going to play 30 minutes at 5,200, man, I got to like Otto Porter. Whether his shoulder is bothering him or not, I mean, I just think that he's too cheap and he's too good of a player for that price tag. Now we got a couple value guys that I definitely think that we could kind of jump into on a little bit lower tier. First, we will start with, I like Eric Gordon. It's going to be an up-tempo game going against Washington. He hasn't had a really, really good game yet, but the fact that he's played 36 minutes in the past 2 games is what's really intriguing to me at a 4,500 price tag. All we need for value is 22. And we know Eric Gordon definitely has 30 to 40 fantasy point upside. So I think that he's the first value guy we can look at. Another guy we can look at, Rodney Hood. Rodney Hood's a guy that, he's playing 30 minutes a game. He does a little bit of everything. 4,300, 22 for value. Definitely he's been right around there. I think that Rodney Hood is a good value play on today's slate. A couple more guys that I'm looking at. There's actually 2 more guys. First, we will talk about Maurice Harkless. I think Harkless is probably going to be the guy that's going to get the start for Kawhi Leonard. At 4,300, I mean, he's already shown us a little bit of upside this season. And if he's going to play around 30 minutes, I think he'll be a great value play. One thing I'm really noticing so far on this slate is there's a bunch of value out there. Point guard position, there's some good value at the small forward. Man, I think this slate's going to end up being pretty fun. Maurice Harkless definitely in play. And the last guy I'll throw out there kind of in the value tier, I think you can look at David Bertans in an up-tempo game going against the Rockets. Coming off the best game of the season for him, where he scored 30 fantasy points. I'm just looking at the minutes more than actually how much he scored last game. He's been right around 28 to 30 minutes a game. 4,000, I mean, all we need is 20 for value, and he's got that in back-to-back games. And this game is going to be a very up-tempo game. So I think, like I said, that he's a good guy that we can look at today, as a value play. Moving on to the power forward spot, I mean, there's some guys here that we can – there's some good value here too. There's a couple guys that I'm liking. But, yeah, we'll start at the top, man. You got where are we going to start at? We will start with I'm going to start with Kevin Love. I like Kevin Love going against Chicago. He's going to be going against Markkanen. Markkanen is not a guy that's going to go down there and bang with Kevin Love. They're both going to kind of just they're going to shoot some threes. Kevin Love's really, really rebounding the ball well. That's what I'm really liking about him. So I definitely think he's a GPP play, but he definitely is in play. Next, we will go down to Domantas Sabonis. I mean, this guy played this guy last year off, sometimes off the bench, and the fact that he's starting now and playing a bunch of minutes, this guy has some upside. Hey, definitely has some upside. At 8,400, the price tag is climbing a little bit, but I like him. I definitely like him in this spot going against Brooklyn. Brooklyn has always struggled against big men, even though they got DeAndre Jordan now. I mean, that doesn't really scare me at all. Next, we got Julius Randle, up-tempo game going against got Julius Randle in an up-tempo game going against Orlando. I know the past couple games he hasn't shown you kind of what he did the very first game, but this guy does have triple-double upside. And I think he's a GPP play based on his price, but I like him. Draymond is a guy I'm really, really liking. 8,000 coming off the best game of the season. We scored 53 fantasy points. We know the upside that Draymond gives us just because he does so much. I mean, he really does a lot. So I think that Draymond's a guy that you can look at. I really think that he's a guy you can throw in your cash games and feel pretty comfortable in an up-tempo game going against this young Suns team. I like him. I like him. I think that he's a good play. Then we will go with, I think, marketing. On the flip side, we talked about Kevin Love. I think that we could talk about marketing as well, 7,900. I think that he's a pretty good play. Him and Kevin Love, both GPP plays for me, though. Jason Tatum, going against the Bucks. This is the game I think is probably going to be one of the best games of the night. Boston's young team against Milwaukee. Tatum averaging 20 real life points a game, for almost 43 fantasy points on the season. He's a guy that he's going to play the minutes. He's rebounding the ball very well. He plays good defense too, and they need this guy to play well if they're going to be successful this year. So I think he's a guy that's in play. Al Horford. He's a GPP play for me just because what I'm noticing is whenever Embiid is in there, it takes a lot. He doesn't need to do as much. And so, therefore, I feel like he takes a little bit of a back seat. But he's still playing minutes. And he's a guy who's a very good passer. He's a good defender. 6,700, I think that he's a guy that we can look at. PJ Washington for Charlotte. This young guy's playing, 30-plus minutes a game. And he's been playing pretty well. He's scoring the ball. He's rebounding the ball. The price tag is a little bit inflated. You need 32 for value. He's only got you that one time. I understand that. But I think that you can still look at him in GPPs. Next, we will go to this guy right here has been playing very well. So I don't know how to say his name. I'm not even going to try. You guys are going to laugh at me for butchering it. But I like Washington going against Houston, man. I think there's a couple good plays here. Houston's a very up-tempo team. This guy's playing a bunch of minutes, coming off 37 minutes, going against San Antonio. He scored 26 or more fantasy points in every game. 5,900 price tag. We need 29 for value. I think that he could get us close to that. I don't know. I got to see some upside. But I think he's a guy that I really like people against Houston, and I like targeting people against Washington. So I think this game is going to be a track meet, and I think you can look at this guy as a guy that's kind of help you differentiate your lineups. When we're looking to take down a tournament, man, we got to be different. We can't have the same guys as everybody else. Frank Kaminsky, he's a guy, man, he's been playing some minutes. Ever since Ayton has got suspended, he's right around 30 minutes in 3 straight games, and he's doing a lot, man. He's shooting the ball well, playing, rebounding the ball, passing the ball pretty good. Assist numbers are up a little bit for him. 5,700 up-tempo game going against the Warriors. Kaminsky definitely is a guy that's in play. Bijalika, this guy is so frustrated, man, because this guy one day he'll just give you a complete dud. The next day, he'll have a monster game. Coming off a really good game against Denver, where he scored 35 fantasy points at 4.9. All we need is 25 for value. He's going to be in that starting lineup. He's going to play, 30-plus minutes. Going against Charlotte, I've been mentioning this whole video, I like both sides of this game, and I think that Bijalika definitely is a guy that we can look at a little bit the lower tier for power forwards. Last guy I'll quickly just throw out there. I think we can look at a guy like Dario Saric. He's a guy that's in play with no Ayton. I mentioned it. Kaminsky's been getting some run, and also Dario Saric is a guy. 2 of the 4 games this year, he's played 30 minutes. I think in the Utah game it was a tough matchup, and he just didn't get the run. I think you could go to this well as a GPP play, a guy that nobody's going to own. It's like we want to get those low-owned guys that have good opportunities. And, just like I talked about Washington, I talked about Houston, Warriors, Phoenix, all those teams just run. We want teams that run. Those are where fantasy points come from. So definitely I think that you can look at Sark as a GPP play. I would rather pay 200 more for Bijalika in that starting lineup, though. I do just want to make that very clear. Finishing it off with sitters. There's some solid sitters on this slate, man. One thing I will throw out there, I'll just kind of clump them up together. Joel Embiid and Karl-Anthony Towns going against each other. It scares me a little bit. I do want to make that very clear. It does scare me a little bit just because, they're going to be banging. Usually when big guys go against each other, one ends up getting in foul trouble. It's just kind of how it goes. But both are GPP plays. Both definitely have, 70, 80 fantasy point upside. We know that from both of them. Andre Drummond in a tough matchup as well, going against Mark Gasol. Drummond's been killing it, and I definitely think that you could look at him in GPPs, but it's just a tough matchup. That's the only thing scaring me here. You got Rudy Gobert going against a Clipper team that, I mean, they don't really play their big man very much. Or, we're talking about Zubac that he starts, but Zubac only plays 20 minutes a game. If he's going to be going against an undersized Harrell for most of the game, then it's a definite mismatch, and Gobert can eat. You see him coming off coming off a game against Phoenix where they didn't really have a true center as well. He gobbled up 18 rebounds. I could see him, getting 15 rebounds in this game as well. Especially if they try to go small ball with Harrell. Then we will go down a little bit. I mean, Vucevic is struggling. He gets a matchup against the young guy Robinson in New York, who's a pretty good defender. I mean, he's strictly GPP. I'm not really too interested in Vucevic, but I do want to throw him out there. Just, I mean, it is Vucevic. You got Hassan Whiteside going against Steven Adams. Not too interested in that particular spot right there. Miles Turner is a guy I really, really like. I've always liked the past couple of years big men going against Brooklyn. I understand Brooklyn, they have DeAndre Jordan now, but they're not really playing him that much. Miles Turner, 7.4. I like him in this spot, man. I think it's a spot he can have a monster game. I mean, the fact that look at the minutes. Big guys usually don't play crazy minutes, and this guy's played 38 minutes at least in 3 straight games. Loving the minutes. I love the opportunity here going against the Nets. We can look at a guy, Thomas Bryant. It's going to be an up-tempo game going against Houston. The young guy could definitely run. And he's having a really good start to the season. He's playing at least 30 minutes. That's what I'm really liking. A little bit of a tough matchup against Capella. But he's strictly GPP. I do want to make that very clear, but I think that you can look at him. The theme I'm really noticing right now is all these centers are in tough spots. I mean, you got Montrezl Harrell, 7,000. He's going to probably get some extra run today with no Kawhi Leonard. But going against Gobert, it's tough, and oh, man, I don't know. I don't really want to recommend to play him, but I like the fact that he is going to get some more minutes with no Kawhi Leonard. It's just a tough spot there. Then we could go down a little bit. One thing I do want to say when I'm talking about Whiteside is, Adams is questionable. If Adams ends up being out of this game, then that gives an added boost to Whiteside. And you could definitely really, really consider him. And then a guy that I think that you could look at for value, I think that you could look at a guy like Dwayne Dedmon for Sacramento. He hasn't had no crazy games. I understand that. And his minutes have been all over the place. I understand that as well. But, he's starting. He gets a matchup against Cody Zeller, who doesn't really intimidate me very much. At a $4,000 price tag, all we need is 20 for value. Dedmon's a GPP play only, but I think that you can look at him. I've played him in the past, and he's shown me some upside. Yeah, man, that's really where I'm at. So I gave you almost about 10 plays each position to kind of get you a player pool to kind of get you started for today. If you like this style of video, let me know. If you prefer me just to kind of go game by game, position by position, obviously the video will be a little bit longer, but I could do that for you guys as well. Whatever is more helpful, just let me know. And yeah, man, that's really where I'm at. All right. Good luck on your guys' contest tonight. All right. Peace out.